Okay, now we're gonna do an off-leash video with Oso. He's on place right here in front of me, and I've got my speaker box hooked up to his remote, so you'll be able to hear the work that I'm doing. And that way I can, this is all basics. This is the first time he's been off leash. I have never had him off leash before this. And we're just gonna do basics, you know. I'm gonna practice recall and like let him go out and be free for a few seconds, and then practice recall, and then do my let's goes and my heres and my sits and my place and my down. I'm gonna do all that stuff. There's no distractions, or very minimal if they do pop up. So, you know, if I'm gonna start a dog off leash, I'm obviously not gonna start them off leash in front of a dog, especially if that's their issue. So it's definitely important that we do this in steps so that Oso doesn't go straight to a trailhead and learns how to do all these things for you without stimulation first. So that's my biggest piece of advice, because obviously you're gonna be stoked to see that he's so highly off-leash reliable. Sit. Good. So I've got my speaker so you can hear. Put it a little closer to the camera. I'm going to walk you through the basics. And this is also going to help you understand e-collar timing and how we change the dial based on the dog's response. Hopefully it doesn't rain too hard on us. Go. So what's cool about what I'm doing, let's go, is that it's basically long line work without the line. That's part of the reasons why I'm teaching you the repetitions. Come. Also come. Okay, now he's not listening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up one at a time. Come. Sit. Good job, dude. Let's go. So I'm starting at a 4, and I had to go up to a 9 there. Let's go. So these are the things I was doing with you in the field. You just happen to have a line on you. So the motions are the same, and that's helpful for the dog because they do read so much body language. Sit. So it is hard at first for people because they feel naked without the leash. But basically it's the same exact movements. Let's go. Good. Place. And then you can see how I'm layering the e-collar over the commands. And for every command that he's very responsive to, the e-collar sounds a lot like a tap. Beep, 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 sit. That was a little high. I'm going to go down to a 3 instead of a 4. Kinda, it's like there's nothing going on. We don't need twitches and stuff, you know. If I'm trying to call him off of a dog and he twitches, I'm not gonna worry about that so much as something as simple as a sit. So, but you're gonna hear it sounds like a tap, beep, beep, beep. But then when I had that blow off, which I wish you could have seen what he was doing over here, because he was trying real hard to get out of the command, you know, drinking water, and he doesn't need water, he just had a big drink, so it's all these displacement behaviors, trying to get out of it. Place, sit, down, good. And in that case, you heard the speaker continuously go until he came to me. And what you couldn't see is when he came to me, so the release of the e-collar may have been hard for you to witness, but you did hear how it remained on. And this is a huge component in my e-collar training that people can mess up very quickly. If you tap and that's all you ever do, the dog will stop responding to the e-collar. The dog did not learn the e-collar that way. What Oso has learned is, I'm going to feel this place. Good. Just right there is another example. The dog has learned, I'm going to feel this electronic pressure, this feather-like touch coming from my handler, and the only way I can turn it off is if I comply. I need, the handler is going to get compliance. So, if you just tap every single time, like a lot of people get into the habit where they layer, so they go, you know, Oso come and they tap at the same same time they say it. So they got that part down, but they turn the e-collar off when their command ends. And that's not how I have taught him. What I have taught him is I'm going to turn the e-collar on, and it's going to turn off when I see your commitment to me, to listen. And I will hold it otherwise until I get that commitment. So that's what you're going to want to get yourself into a habit of. It's really challenging for people to follow through with this. I struggle greatly trying to reinforce this with people because they want to go to a quick tap. And then sometimes people think that they're correcting their dog, which I want to emphasize again, this is a directive device. You know, I don't want to correct him on the e-collar. I really don't. I'd rather just talk to him on it. So if you get all hesitant, like, oh, I don't want to hold it, I might correct him. Then again, he's going to manipulate you, and the e-collar is going to become a very challenging tool to follow through with. So now that I've kind of talked you through the hold, you know, holding the e-collar down, I'm going to go do some reps out further in my yard now. this is what I love about varying my commands and doing like long line work. Really allows you to teach the dog so many commands in one session instead of focusing on, at once. But you can see how all of these commands benefit you in different scenarios, Hey, I don't want you to leave my side, stay here. Hey, I'm really not looking for a formal commitment right now, let's go. Head my way. I'd like you to head this way, but I don't really want to stop and have you sit. Or, hey, right now, I need you to commit to me. This is a serious situation, right? And it's important that you mix all these commands up, and that you mix them up with both stimulus and non-stimulus. So you got to start with no stimulus, and then you add it. I will tell you right now that when you see a dog or a person and stuff like that, especially when you start off-leash reliability, which I do not encourage you to do quite yet, at least not on the trails, maybe in your backyard, but you're going to be doing a lot more Oso come here sit than you are let's goes, right? Because he needs to start committing to you when he sees all the things that he wants to run at. So as I was trying to go through my commands and stuff, you might notice that the e-collar was staying on a little bit longer sometimes, and other times it was turning off quick, a little bit quicker. And as I already discussed with you, that is because I'm going to turn it off when he commits. So it was on longer because he wasn't committing. But what I didn't have the time to tell you in that process, because I was rambling on, is that I did have to go up on my e-collar when he was, and if you rewind the video, when there's longer periods of beep, I'm actually going up. You just can't see because I do it one-handed. You're probably going to look more like this, and it's a very gentle dial. But I was going up one at a time. And I think when I looked at my dial, I had an 8 on my screen. So I went up to an 8 for those times when he wasn't listening. So this e-collar is complicated because it's not just one number, it's not just 2 buttons, like the black S and the red S. It is a barometer for their state of mind. It's going to change based on their state of mind. So at the same time we need to turn it up when they escalate, we also need to turn it down when they calm down. So I called them to me on an 8, but when they come back to me and stay close, they're going to calm way back down to their original number. So I actually turned it back down to a 4 after I called him over to me. Super complex. It's a little bit overwhelming at first, right? So I don't want to shock them, and I'm layering all my words over the command. So really, whenever they go back on place or into that here or into a sit and they calm all the way down and they're next to you, their numbers are going to go all the way back down to their working number more often than not. Sometimes, like if you see a dog or a person, that might not be the case. He might stay heightened regardless, right? But in this situation with no minimal stimulation, and probably all the way up to moderate stimulation, I need to be as comfortable turning my dial down as I do up, and basically go back and forth and dance with the dog based on his state of mind. this stuff, right? What? You crazy, buddy? He already knows all this stuff, so you're gonna be, oh gosh, the dial sensitive. I went up too high, and oh, I don't want to go up there. I might turn. You're gonna be fidgeting with this so much and so unsure at first that he's gonna throw all his punches and go, she doesn't know anything. And it's gonna feel very frustrating. And you're not the only person I'm obviously telling you this because of all the feedback I've gotten, right? So, give yourself 3 to 5 days after he first comes home. Just take your time. Don't worry about perfection. I know that you are a perfectionist. That's gonna play off in the long run, right? Just take your time and get those expectations real clear. Get practice real hard on the e-collar. Hey, Oso, come. Good. Good boy. Please. You know, really just practice super well on the e-collar, and you're gonna get it. I just want to warn you, there's going to be this window of patience because he's going to be testing you. He already knows all this, and you're going to be overwhelmed by the amount of multitasking that I'm asking you to do. But once you spend those days really working at it, what's going to happen is you're going to start to find a pattern to his numbers. So it's going to give you a better idea of where to go and when and how high, you know. And you're going to be quicker at it, and because you're going to be quicker at it and you're going to have a better idea of his numbers, he's going to respond faster. So it's going to come together eventually, but this first initial coming home, I think you're going to find is going to be very challenging, considering, one, he's very sensitive, so I don't have to go up super duper high on the e-collar, but his brain doesn't necessarily respond to one number every single time, so I have to be flexible on my dial. Place means stay. I need to maintain that. Want to see if he'll break, because I want you to hear what I do with my e-collar if he does. And I've already done it once this video, so you can rewind it if you need, if I don't get another example here in a sec. But basically, when he breaks, I turn my e-collar on and I hold it on and say place, right? So I say place one more time. I hold the e-collar button down, and I'm going to hold that button down until I can see he's headed back to his place board. So right at the beginning of the video, he did this, so you can actually hear it and break it down and see how I did it. And if they're really, really, really defiant, I might have to go up again on my e-collar until I get it. And if that doesn't work, I will call the dog to me and guide them over to place. Place. There you go. That's the third. He blew me off on all the other ones. So first I held it on my 4, and he decided that he was going to come to me instead of go to his place. So I was turning it up, and when I turned it up, he actually shot over here, which tells me that he's extra not interested in going back to his place board. So then I called him to me and sent him there. So those are your 3 solutions to maintaining place. Hey. Hey. So he's good on place, but he's not the best, right? Because he's done that twice already in this video. So I think it feels to me like stays have been attempted a lot and have been unsuccessful intermittently. And I think that when we're trying real hard to get a stay, but they're given all these little windows of time to break it, and then not not reinforced properly, dogs tend to really test stays because they've really learned how to manipulate them, especially cattle dogs. So that's kind of the feeling I get, because it seems like an act of defiance to me. It seems sneaky, like you said, a little sneaky. And so the other thing I'm going to encourage you to do is don't get complacent. Especially when he first comes home. When you're doing the place command, don't expect him to stay in place while you go do some chores. It's not going to happen. This dog is going to require 100% attentiveness for a while, because if you don't give him that, he will test you. So you're going to be a little dog trainer in that the level of mindfulness that you need to have at each session is pretty high. You know what I mean, Bob? Good job. Sit. Good boy. Go ahead. The last thing I want to talk about, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. Hey, you. Not a boy. I keep saying the barometer for the brain. Oso, come. Come. Go up. 8, 9. So the good thing is that so far today, 9 is as high as I've had to go. I've only had to go into the 30s once with him over a dog. And when he was with you, his numbers were anywhere from mid-30s to 4 to the number 3 to all the way to the mid-30s. Okay, sit. Go ahead. So that's why I couldn't get it right with him when he was with you, because I hadn't quite experienced so many different range of numbers with him yet, right? So what that means is that the brain is fluctuating feelings, you know, calm, worked up, calm, adrenaline, calm, worked up. So in that process, the e-collar is going to fluctuate along with the brain. Come. This is kind of one of the reasons why I love this tool. Come. Please. Come. Please. Good. Good job, buddy. One of the reasons why I love this tool, because it's actually going to tell me how the dog feels about different scenarios. It's going to tell me how dogs feel about stimulation. And not only is it going to tell me how they feel about stimulation in that moment, but if I were to record the numbers on a daily basis and see that the numbers decline over time, I know I'm making progress. So if a dog is a 30 initially, and then they're a 9, then I know he's calming down over dogs. Yeah. So if working on the front door, he has to go up into the 30s because he's so belligerent. He won't stay on place. 30 is the only number that will match his intensity. Then you know that the door is a big deal, because right now he's only between a 3 and a 9 today. So that's not a big number range. And there's also not a lot going on, you know? So it would be normal for me to see dogs' numbers this low when you don't add a person or a dog or another form of stimulation that might get them very much more excited. So it's all about what number they feel. And that's hard for people to see, because I don't want to see it as much as I can tell that they feel it, because they're responsive. So if you ever get yourself into a situation where you're like, this isn't working, go up until you see that it does. Because what you'll know it's effective, because the dog is obviously very conditioned to the collar and understands what all of this means. So what you'll get is a response from him, and that's how you'll know it's working. A lot of people go to line compensation. Oh, he's not listening. I'm going to draw my line in and make it happen. You know, maybe you need to do that at first, but eventually, once you become more savvy at the e-collar, that's actually going to be counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve, which is off-leash reliability when there's stimulus around. So it's actually really important, like I did in this field on my other video today, is to sit there and try not to add the leash pressure so you know that the e-collar is what's working, and it'll give you an opportunity to slow down and see, is he actually responding to this number or not? So I've given you lots of examples in this video today of how the e-collar is a barometer for the brain, because I have fluctuated numbers based on his response. When he's not responding, I go up. When he is responding, I let go very quickly. When he starts to mellow out, my numbers go back down. I am matching his brain intensity. If the dog were to pop up, or a person were to walk to my gate right now, I would expect to go up and to as high as I needed to before he felt it. You know, I need the dog to feel it. So I don't really care about the number. The number is not actually important to me as much as the response from the dog. A lot of people get caught up, like I have one client right now that says he refuses to go up above a 15. Well, I board the dog and the dog's numbers are in the 30s. So not only are you basically using an e-collar for no reason at all, but now the dog has intensified so much that they need a 30 in order to feel it. That tells me their adrenaline levels are high and they're starting to lose their mind. Right? So if I always make sure I'm finding a number that's getting a response and communicating with the dog, then I'm always going to have that reliability, and because I have the reliability, they are going to calm down naturally, and you're going to see those numbers decline. So don't worry about the number, just worry about the response. We will use the numbers to gauge the intensity, and then we can actually reflect on those numbers as we go to see how intense are you and how much have you improved over these forms of stimulus. So hopefully that was a really helpful e-collar video. It has everything you need to know about the e-collar. The only difference between today and the go home is that there will be a line involved. So he needs to have the line on when he's around you until you can rely on yourself to follow through and understand how to use this effectively. But yeah, he's doing great, isn't he? It's only been 10 days. He's amazing.